So this video is on how to make structured alive water and why it's so important, not just very important to our physical health, but also to the spiritual evolution, the expansion of consciousness we are on. And disclaimer right away, there was a fantastic video that I learned this technique from years ago, and I can no longer find it. It might have been taken off YouTube. It was by a man, and I don't know his name, but I thank that person for what he taught me, because I've been using it since, and it's been phenomenal. And you will notice a difference, not just in how it tastes, but in how you feel as you try this out. So let's start with the physical. Physical health is greatly dependent on water, because if we don't have structured alive water, which means it's been sitting in a pipe or in a bottle, it might have chemicals, it might have no minerals. It's basically dead. It's clumped, and it doesn't carry any vitality or life force anymore, because it just sits. And water, to stay alive, needs to move. It needs to see sunlight. It needs to move over obstacles, like water in a river, water that falls down, a waterfall, but that it always has movement and has exposure to the natural world, exposure to the minerals it takes up from the dead leaves or the stones, the rocks it flows over. And that's basically what you want to mimic as you create your own structured water. When you drink water that's not structured and alive, you can drink as much water as you want, but you cannot get hydrated, because the water molecules, because it begins to clump, and these clumps are too large to penetrate or be absorbed by your cell's membrane and go into the cell where the water is needed. So you might drink a lot of water a day because you want to hydrate, or you might feel dehydrated, but it can't go to where it's needed, and you just simply eliminate it. But when you drink structured alive water, it is highly absorbable, and it does do the job. But why is water important for your spiritual evolution? So structured living water is essential for the evolution of consciousness, because it actually serves as the conduitive medium between light, form, and intention. So in every single cell, every synaptic connection, and every transmission of frequency through the different bodies that you are, so you're not just a physical body, you also have a vital body, an etheric body, an energy body, a light body, and so forth. Water, structured, crystalline, and resonant water, is the medium that receives, remembers, and relays information. So if you are on this path of remembering and becoming more of who you are, you're tapping into higher fields of consciousness of yourself and of these dimensional realms, and to anchor and integrate the information and the expansion you can receive in these states. You need water in your body to be available to bring through and anchor that information. So to bring your water back to life, to structure it, that means you're restoring its crystalline coherence, because water is a liquid crystal as well as liquid light. And as such, it has the capacity to hold memory. It holds literally, or it is a living intelligence. And when it sits, when it's pressurized, when it stagnates, when it's exposed to synthetic materials or to electromagnetic fields like your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, it simply deadens, clumps, and is no longer, it just can't do what it can do for you, which is to bring you life. But it might even introduce frequencies that are harmful. So you want to use the water that's as close to natural as you can. So if you have the capacity to use spring water, that's great. Well water would be second. Well water that is mineral rich and has been tested. Or you can use filtered water. And if you use a reverse osmosis filter or charcoal-based filters, they take out a lot of the minerals as well as the chemicals. You want to reintroduce minerals. And I use salts for that, as well as trace minerals. And I will show you the product I buy below. The concentrates, trace minerals are in the ideal ratio to what your body wants and would naturally have. So again, as water loses vitality when it's stagnant, you want to spiral or vortex your water to bring it back to life. And as you do that, you can draw figure eights, because that creates a counter, like a clockwise flow and a counterclockwise flow. Or you simply spiral it clockwise for a while, and then you go counterclockwise for a while, and you switch back and forth. It is powerful to use a copper vortex coil or a tension ring out of copper, because of the fact that this is creating an electromagnetic field that is a torus. And so when you have done the procedure of structuring your water and you keep the container of your water in that copper coil, it continually moves the molecules and keeps the water structured, because otherwise it would, of course, just, unless you drink it right away, it would become stagnant and lose its vitality. So basically the vortexing revives the molecular spin of the water molecules, and it increases bioavailability. So it mimics how nature recharges water through rivers and whirlpools. Other ways to structure and charge your water, and as far as I know, it is not as powerful as actually vortexing it, but other ways to bring more life force to it is to expose it to sunlight or moonlight. You want to do that for 2 to 3 hours. You can play an instrument or a tuning fork nearby it, for example 432 Hertz or 528 Hertz. You can chant, you can tone, you can pray and speak your intention. Since water is crystalline, it memorizes your intention, your prayer. And so there's an entrainment that happens with your intention. You can also use crystals like rose quartz, clear quartz, or you can use shungite. However, again, it's not as powerful. And just know that any crystals or minerals that end in "ite" are water soluble. So with shungite, that's kind of wanted because it does help the water, but it is not a substitute for vortexing it. But it's a good way to have some shungite crystals in your water, especially if you have a water bottle you carry around, because that does enhance your water. You can also use geometric patterns like the Flower of Life or Metatron's cube. You can set that under the glass. That will create a structure that's life-giving. And you can have 2 jars and move or pour water from one jar into the next. Then you can sort of spin it a bit, swirl it, then you pour it back into the first glass, you swirl it, you pour it back into the second, and so you go back and forth. That you're basically, again, mimicking what a river might do in nature. So what you have seen me do here on the video, of course, is the vortexing of the water, as I'm adding, in this case, Celtic sea salt. You can also use Himalayan salt. And I'm vortexing it until the saturation point is reached, meaning I keep adding salt until it no longer dissolves. And I will see crystals form at the bottom of the jar that when I swirl it will move around. Then you know you've added enough salt. The solution is ready. And if I didn't demonstrate this here with the next step, I would keep it in the refrigerator overnight for about 8 hours in a tension ring. Then the next morning I would take it out and take, depending on your size of jar, 2 to 3 tablespoons of the solution, the concentrate, add that to a new jar with fresh water, and begin vortexing in a tension ring with a wooden spoon again to now make the water that you will drink. And you would keep that in a tension jar and a tension ring if you have one. I believe it is very helpful, but until you buy one, and I'm going to link something below. Again, the person that I purchased everything from also, that was a different person, is no longer available. I could not find that website, but I'm linking an Etsy page that hopefully stays alive. Otherwise, just Google copper tension ring and you will find a source for it. And then you make your fresh water each time. And it does not take more than 2 or 3 minutes. I wanted to just make a comment about the trace minerals. I use sometimes a different method to make Ormus water, where the minerals become available in their monatomic form, which makes them extremely highly available to your body. That might be a whole nother video. And I don't want to confuse you here, but when I vortex the water with the salts, I don't add that. I sometimes add some drops later before I drink it, because the minerals in and of themselves are so good for us, especially because our soils and thereby our food is depleted, and we need more of this right now as we're shifting in our physical bodies in the ascension process. But making Ormus water requires a different setup. Maybe I'll do another video in the future. You don't really need it to structure your water and bring it back to life. So this is how you can make structured water without much money. There are machines that do that for you. There's nothing wrong with getting those. I've never had one. I love being very directly in touch with my water and having a conscious relationship. Also, and I don't want this to be a downer, but Dr. Karim in biogeometry, I've studied his work for a while. He talks about how the radiation from cell phones, cell towers, satellites, and so forth, the electromagnetic frequencies that we are bombarded with, lessen the vitality and can really deaden the water in the skies, on the ground, and in us. And a lot of ailments can come from that. And not only that, but our joy, our felt vitality is dwindling. And so it takes a conscious effort as we're going through this shift, because I really believe we'll be on the other side of that in the not too far distant future, where things will be more natural and vibrant, as will we be. But as we're going through this, it's important to support ourselves and our loved ones with good things like water, earthing, good foods, good thoughts, and so forth. So if you find this is an important message, please help me share these tools that I'm going to begin to share more of with your friends, with your families. Help me grow my channel, as it's important that we help one another to be strong and conscious and come together. Thank you.